My kids would have a grandmother who would love the hell out of them. I would have someone to call and ask, the questions that I don't want to ask anybody else, but I'll ask my mom. That was taken away from me. That was taken away from my children. Directly related to domestic violence that she drank in order to endure, and that drinking would lend up to her having cancer that would take her life before it should have been. And the same thing happened to her mother, life cut short when she was only 16 years old because of domestic violence. So don't come here and tell me that domestic violence is not something that I should have an opinion about. And the first thing I am going to address is men. Yes, men to men. If you feel like you need to put your hands on a woman, get some help. Walk out the door and do not come back until you get some help. And for sisters, for women, there is also, under no circumstance, except for maybe self-defense, that you should ever put your hands on your husband. You shouldn't physically abuse him. And yes, it does happen. It does happen. But you know what? We don't even have accurate statistics. I know we don't have accurate statistics on women either, because a lot of them don't report. But it's even greater in the case of men, that men do not report domestic violence. They don't call the police on their wife. They don't tell their friends, my wife is beating me up. They don't tell anyone about this. They suffer in silence. And this leads to alcoholism. It leads to suicide. The suicide rate in men is much higher than it is in women, because the world expects a whole hell of a lot of us and does not give us a lot of help and does not tolerate less than perfection, emasculates us at every turn it can, tries to make us less than, etc. Like, true, men having it rough these days, and that's just the way it is. Women had it rough before us. It's our turn. But there's no excuse or reason that you should put your hands on your husband. You should put your hands on a man, period. That is a red line for me. And that should be a red line in every relationship. In every relationship, physical violence is an automatic red line. Because once you cross that line, you can't uncross it. There's no coming back. There's no uncrossing the line of physical violence. Once that line is broken, it's broken. And sisters, women, I know it's so rough. Like it's such a scary thought, especially if on top of physical abuse, there is emotional abuse. Because emotional abuse, and we'll take that in just a moment, is just as bad. But if you've become dependent, like he's the sole breadwinner and you don't have any resource yourself, sometimes they will cut you off from money and not allow you to have access to money and things of your own. So you don't, it's almost becomes a prison. So I understand the fear, especially if there's children involved and you need to get the children out of the home. I know there needs to be more resources for women who find themselves in that scenario, especially within the Muslim community. But I'm telling you right now, you will not look back on your life 5 years later and 10 years later and regret leaving. You won't. But you will look back if you make it that long, if you live that long, in 5 or 10 years, and you will 100% of the time regret staying. So that's the decision that has to be made. 5 years from now, do I want to regret having stayed here and possibly losing my own life or the life of one of my children? Or do I want to take this leap of faith, put my trust in the one who created me, seek some refuge from this, speak to someone about it, find a way to be safe, and go out and protect myself and my child from this? That's a choice that I leave with you, but I wish you would make the first one. Wish you would just leave. Just leave. Tell someone. Tell someone. Tell somebody you can trust to help you get you out of that situation. Whether it be your father, uncle, a male relative, somebody at work, somebody that you trust that can come and help get you out of that situation, who's willing to put themselves between you and the abuser. We need to have that service too. As Muslims. There should be a group of brothers for our sisters out there that there's a hotline that you call. That if I answer that phone and you tell me that you're in an abusive relationship and you need to help to get out, and we know, we have shelters set up and things for battered women and stuff, and you need someone to help you come and physically help get you out of the house just in case your husband shows up,